Hello, YouTube. Oops, my hair's all goofy. Anyway, if you've seen me before, you know that I talk to my TikTok audience. So that's why you're only going to see that side of my head. I'm going to turn an extra light on. Okay. Alrighty. Just waiting for people to turn up on TikTok. Hello. Here we go. I'm off and on at this time. I don't know why, but it's 4 o'clock my time. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Where are you from? Where are you right now? Actually, I invited a regular to come on live because she was asking these really good questions, and she's on here a lot. She wouldn't come on because she was in the bathtub. I know that was funny. Yeah, I can see why she didn't want to come on. South Carolina, hello. I've got quite a few Southern clients right now. Love a Southern accent. Everything just sounds cute and relaxed when you got a Southern accent. Okay, so where are you from? I always wait to get going by asking people where you're from. Hi, Brenda. Minnesota, Missouri, Victoria, neighbor. Hi there. I'm in Vancouver, BC. I'm right near Olympic Village, if you know Vancouver. Pittsburgh. Hello, Pittsburgh. I don't even know where that is. I have a pretty good idea, but I don't know exactly where it is. Is that like car manufacturer big for that? Or was that? I know that was Detroit, but I thought Pittsburgh. Virginia, Virginia, California, Pennsylvania. Okay, we might just get going. Sorry, I'm just so tired today. I'm just having a really bad day, like just tired-wise. You know, some days you just don't wake up. I had a good sleep, so I thought. Okay, so night terror. Oh, by the way, in the link above there, you'll see everything I've got to offer. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. You are on that behavior board too. That's what makes it work. What do you think causes night terrors in my 2-year-old? Nobody knows, but what you could potentially do is have something soothing, like use that white noise. We use a white noise machine. There are some that sound like the womb. Geez, those things are loud too. I don't know how kids sleep through that. It's so loud. Or else you could have those galaxy lights. Sorry, I got chapped lips. Galaxy lights, that show a galaxy on the ceiling or something, so that when they wake up, they're not in quiet dark, potentially. I don't know what to tell you, because night terrors, it's usually just temporary, by the way. Everything with 2-year-olds is temporary. They just go from stage to stage. Just when you think, oh, I got that figured out, they stop doing it, and then they start something else. So, yeah, toddlers they're just growing at such rapid rates. My 16-month-old is determined to get her shoes on right now. Too smart for her own good. Yeah, they want to do everything themselves, don't they? And they're all different. Some of them are very independent and want to do everything. They want to feed. I was like that. When I was a really little baby, Mom said I wouldn't, like when I was being fed, I would be like this. So she had to give me a spoon and I would just hold it thinking, like, she goes, you were little, like 6 months old. And I had to have a spoon in my hand while she fed me. I never had a tantrum, but I was very determined to do everything, evidently. That's crazy. My daughter was very independent, too. Yeah, I wasn't very bright. Like, I'm feeding myself. Duh. Okay. My 2-year-old son and 2-year-old friend's son pushes his mom to try. Yeah, you can't tell friends how to parent. I've never done it. But yeah. I had a friend like that. I actually dumped her because her little boy was beating up my kid all the time, and they were like under 2 years old. And she'd just say to him, say you're sorry, and he'd go, sorry. And then he'd just punch my kid in the face again. I just stopped seeing her. And anyway, her son grew up to be such a bad bully. He got a reputation, and he was kicked out of several high schools. He was that rotten. So, because she never dealt with it. So they don't all turn out that mean, but he was just born. He was a mean baby. He was just mean. Do we let them be independent? It depends. I mean, you know, you don't let them drive the car, but I mean, if they want to try and put something on, like if they're trying to get dressed or something, yeah, you know, you got to go with it. Like what I mean is independent with what? Um, the problem is if you let them start doing things, certain things I would never let them do. If they're little, I would never, ever, 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 ever go grocery shopping and let them walk beside the cart. Not in a million years. You'll never get them back in there, not without a fight. So yeah, my kids were in that shopping cart till they were like 16 years old. I just never let them out. They didn't know what it was like to be out, so they never had a problem with it. But yeah, so there's certain things, no, you do not let them be independent. Sorry for the tag. I didn't see any tag. I don't know anything about social media, so stuff flies by me here, and oh, I did so many stupid things. I've been on here for a year and a half now, and my daughter used to watch my lives when I first started because she wanted to pick up on what I was doing wrong. There was lots of that. For one thing, I went on another channel the first time I did it. I wasn't even on here. It was on. I have a personal channel, and I was on that one talking about parenting. Stupid. Anyway, but yeah, I was. Someone asked me a question which was very dirty, and I didn't know it. And I'm talking away, thinking it meant something else. My daughter texted me on the side. Anyway, it was funny. You've helped me with my 2-year-old so much. Can I guess what the biggest help is? Is that you can't figure them out? They're just crazy. They're just going to do stuff. You know, the biggest mistake parents of toddlers make is trying to make sense out of their toddlers. They don't make any sense. They have no sense. They're not sane yet. They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Quit trying to make sense out of them. Good luck with that. They might even smear poop on the wall. To them, that's fine. You know, they just don't make sense yet. It's not that they're stupid. They're just not sane yet. They haven't developed sanity. Their brains aren't there yet. So thank you for the roses and gifts. That's very nice. In Canada, we don't make any money on here. So which that is the biggest appreciation I guess you can get. I don't know, but on other platforms, but the roses, the gifts and everything, that just keeps me going on here because it means I'm helping people, right? So that's good. That's why I keep doing this. Whoops. My son is going to be 12 next week. I'm a bit worried of the teenage period. Any general advice? Yes. The two most important skills with teenagers, number one is listening. You listen to understand and show empathy, and then you stop talking. So you don't give advice. Like you don't listen to gather information to lecture with. They will shut you out and stop talking to you. The number two most important skill with teenagers is to negotiate pretty much everything. Say, oh, you're going to a party tonight? Okay. You know, I want you home at 12. They might say, how about 1? You say, okay, 12:30. Or, you know, you negotiate pretty much everything with teenagers. You got to give them a say. And they're going to tell you everything, by the way. If you get really good at listening, they're going to tell you everything because you're going to be a safe place to land. They're going to tell you everything before they even think about doing it. It's just the way it goes. So yeah, be a really safe place to land. And pick your battles. Let the small stuff go. You made mistakes. Let them make mistakes. You know, if a teenager did something stupid and told me about it when I was mentoring troubled teens, especially, unless it was something awful, which sometimes was. Anyway, I would say something like this. I'd say, yeah, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age. Like, it's okay to not be perfect. You know, we tend to have very high standards for our kids, but not so much for ourselves. You know, we make mistakes, we yell at our kids, and that's all okay, but they make a mistake and you're all over them. So, yeah, think about that. I'm just not awake right now. I'm going to guzzle some Diet Pepsi here to get my caffeine. I can't drink tea or coffee, so this is my caffeine. Autistic children, I only discuss that in one-on-one coaching. That's a specialty because they're all different. There's no general advice for autistic kids. And what we do is it's not one session. The first session, we just throw mud at the wall, and then after that, we see what sticks. In other words, we try stuff and then see what works. I've got to know what has and hasn't worked in the past. I need the age, Michaela. I can't answer that. Is she 16, 6, 2? You know, I don't know. I need the age. Well, you're asking me about your friend with kids. Yeah, I don't give friend advice. Like I give parenting advice. So, like I never told my friends how to parent, and I don't tell other people how to tell their friends how to parent. So yeah, I only give parenting advice. Like grandparents, I don't give grandparenting advice. Okay, 2-year-old smacking my hand and shaking her head when I'm doing her hair. Um, yeah, they're gonna do stuff. They're only 2. Just be fast at it. Just I used to use with my daughter like a little tiny mini. They weren't scrunchies. They're those little soft elastics. You should have seen how fast I was at getting her hair done. I usually would have something going. Like I usually do it while she was watching something or she was eating, and whoop, I just had it up in a top knot like that. I was very fast at doing hair. PPD. I keep looking that up. I've looked that up a million times. Uh, Postpartum depression. Yeah, why do I keep looking that up? I don't know. Oh, because I don't work in acronyms. Well, yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm not a doctor. Postpartum depression. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. Um, yeah, I have some views on it, but they're not medically sound, so I don't want to share them. But I do have some views on postpartum. Um, yeah, you're right, Colleen. It's different for everyone. Depression is different. It's a form of depression. Depression is different for everyone. I had a very tiny bout with depression. It was a situational thing, and I was probably 20. Lots of us get depressed, but I had a bout with depression. Whole other level. It's like you're not even within your own body. You're looking down on it. So I understand what depression is. Mine was very short-lived. It only lasted for maybe a couple months. But whoa. So I understand depression. Okay. Would you recommend toddlers go to enrichment programs like car level? Okay, let me look that up. I don't even know what that is. God, you're going to hate my answer. I don't like accelerated learning. I really am against it. Let them be kids. Let them roll around in the mud. Let them play, blocks. Let them blow bubbles. Yeah, I do not like accelerated learning. I could do a whole spiel on that. I could do a whole speech on. I could do a 2-hour presentation on that one. Why I don't like it, because I know down the road why I don't like it. So no, I don't recommend it personally. It's a personal choice, though. It's not a parenting coach, choice. It's a personal choice. I personally don't like it. But I would put it in with other things that are personal choices that I don't have an opinion on. Is co-sleeping, homeschooling, religion. I don't have opinions on those. They're personal. I have personal views on them, but actually I don't even have with those ones. But accelerated learning, it's not a professional view. It's a personal view on it. But no, that's not true. It's kind of professional. Because I've worked with kids who've been accelerated. My son was labeled as gifted, and I kept him mainstreamed until grade 8, and then I didn't have a choice. The high school segregated him. I don't like that kind of stuff. I just do not like it. Yeah, I actually hate it. Because life is mainstreamed. Life isn't accelerated. I like you to go with the flow. They've got lots of time to learn and accelerate later on. Why rush it? Why would you rush it with a little wee one? Let them roll in the mud. So yeah, you got lots of time for all that stuff. And you can't hold them back. If they're bright, you can't make them stupid. They're going to be bright anyway. You see, like you cannot make them stupid. I'm not going to go on about it after this one comment. in my view, the parents who accelerate their little ones, it's for the parents, not for the children. It's more of a bragging rights kind of thing. It's like babies who can do cue cards and all that stuff. I've never been impressed by that at all. It's just parents. It's just, I don't like it. Like, let them roll around in the mud, like they're just little ones. They got plenty of time to go to study and do homework and all that stuff. Yeah. My two boys want, I need to know the age. How about play schools for toddlers? I like social stuff. I like when they're out doing, like my kids were in all sorts of things like that. Like they went to those play group things. We had lots of play groups that we did privately at people's houses. Then they went to, what's that called? Where they lay out the mats and you all sit around in this big circle thing and all that stuff. And then they went to swimming lessons as babies, and they did all that stuff where there was all these other kids doing things. That stuff I love. It's the academic early learning stuff, which I think is ridiculous. 11 and 7, they're cutting each other down. You might want to hire me for that. I don't know what's going on. If you want my help with that, I'd have to assess the situation. I don't know why they're doing that. I'd have to figure it out and then get a plan. So, yeah, 2-year-old. Most 2-year-old stuff is just temporary. They're just crazy. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Don't try and make sense out of them. If they're doing something crazy today, chances are next week they won't be doing it. So, yeah, don't try and make sense out of toddlers. It's your biggest flaw with new parents. It's your biggest flaw with toddlers is trying to make sense out of them. They don't make any sense. They work on impulse, urges. They don't work on thought processes and reasoning. They just don't operate that way. That's why these mini therapy sessions discussing all their feelings and everything, that's for you. That's not for them. It's totally self-absorbed, that stuff. It has nothing to do with your toddler. They're all about actions and impulses and urges and messes and getting into stuff. To them, they're just learning. They're just forming. How to discipline 4-year-old tantrums. You don't discipline tantrums. They're not naughty. Tantrums are not bad behavior. They're just a reaction to not getting their own way. They're a loss, they're a loss of control. So you don't discipline tantrums. I have a million videos on tantrums if you want to look that up. They're some of my biggest videos because people hate what I say about them, but that's why I keep doing them. Anyway, yeah, you just ignore tantrums. There's a specific way of how you do it, though. But yeah, you never, ever discipline a tantrum. That's like disciplining crying and laughing. And like it's a loss of emotional control. It's an emotion more than an action. Well, how do you help a 22-month-old with frustration, which then turns into a tantrum? How on earth are you going to prevent a tantrum with a 22-month-old? Why would you want to? That's a learning opportunity for them and you. You ignore it, and they learn how to self-regulate their own tantrums. They learn to lean into what does work and lean away from what doesn't. But yeah, you don't want to avoid a tantrum. Let them have it. That makes it look like you're afraid of them. Yeah, if they're going to have a tantrum, let it fly. That's their process. Don't interrupt that. Some kids have them, some kids don't. And you know when they're born if they're going to have them or not. They're the ones who, if they can't get on the boob right away, they start to turn red and cry. Those are the ones who are going to have tantrums. So a temper starts right away. Here's another question like that. Tips on preventing toddlers from spitting out their food. You don't prevent a toddler from doing anything. You can take action after they've done something, but you don't prevent them from doing anything. Yeah, if they're spitting out their food, then you just say no, and then just give it a couple of minutes of ignoring them, and then hand feed them. But you don't want to prevent anything. You can't prevent anything with toddlers. That's the whole thing. People always want to prevent the bad stuff, but you can't. It's better to let it happen than you exercise your leadership by dealing with it. That's how this is done. Like if I saw a kid who I knew didn't like something, and I knew I was doing the right thing, I'd said no to something and they didn't like it, and I saw a tantrum coming on, there's no freaking way I would try and avoid it. This is me. Bring it on. Like, because that's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. Why on earth would I want to avoid that stuff? That's golden. That's opportunity. Okay. Yeah, Samantha, I just say it like it is. I wish sometimes I had a little bit more etiquette, but I just let it fly. So, more tact, that's the word. Toddler hitting, I have a mini course on that up in the link above if you're interested in that. But yeah, it's just consistent corrective action. It's not words. Words are for you, not for them. But yeah, it's just consistent corrective action because they learn through repetition. So just say no. You could say one word, even that gets, they don't really listen to that after, or they're not really listening anyway. But it's just a way of saying I'm taking charge here. So no, and then you remove a toy, remove them from the fun, remove the fun from them. So there's consistent corrective action. But you got to be consistent because they're going to remember the 99th time that you didn't do it right. They just do. I don't know why, but they just do. Oh, because it suits them. They remember what suits them. If you gave in and didn't correct them one time, they're going to remember that because it suits them. Okay, you got a 4-year-old hitting in school. I don't know why he's doing that. I would have to assess that, figure out why. Does he hit at home? You know, it's all sorts of different. It could go in too many different ways. I would need to assess that situation. Oh, because other kids are doing it. Mm. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's like the school sort of responsibility. So I don't know what's going on there. Um, well, like my kids were in classes or whatever where kids were hitting that they never hit. Um, they just wouldn't have. It just wasn't in their DNA. So yeah, I'd want to figure out why your kid is following along with that. Must suit your child to do that. They don't tend to do what goes against the grain. So the hitting goes with their grain. I would have to assess why and then work on that. If you want my help, you'd have to hire me to figure out what's going on there. How do I get my 17-year-old to stop taking on everyone's problems? People do that. Young people, teenagers are very dramatic. And they do that. Maybe your 17-year-old they're doing it because they're getting something out of it. They're the fixer. Maybe they can't fix their own problems, so they're fixing other people's problems. But that's kind of a big, broad question. I don't know what's going on there. A 17-year-old. Yeah, I actually specialize in teenagers. They're my favorite age. If you want my help, you'd have to hire me to assess that. And I don't know what's going on. It's not uncommon, though. They often do it because it makes them popular. They become the shoulder to cry on, so that it becomes their identity with their friends. Yeah, but you know what's interesting is when something dramatic happens at a high school, or I know how to explain this. When they get a speaker who goes into a high school to talk about self-harm, I won't say the word. Guess what happens after that? That principals hate it to have those speakers in. I think they have to do it, but they hate it. Do you know why? Do you know how many of those kids talk about it after that and say they're going to do it? It's like 50% of them say, oh, I need some therapy. I'm going to do it too. They're very dramatic. They tend to get, or not all of them are, but a lot of them tend to get very dramatic. And it's a popular problem. I have it too. So they tend to be dramatic. It doesn't mean you want to ignore that stuff, but you can't, right? That's the thing, is you can't. But the principals always say that they have to bring in tons of social workers and therapists every time they have a speaker talk about that, because all of a sudden they're all going to hurt themselves. The thing is, the better you are at leadership, the less likely they are to be influenced by stuff like that. When you're the leader, or when you're a really calm leader, even right through the teen years, you sort of want them to be more their own leaders, but you're the backup. You're a really safe place to land. They are less influenced by stuff like that. Very much so. Well, you don't really discipline a 1-year-old. You just sort of restrain them physically if they're doing crazy stuff and then look away. You just ignore them. They will eventually learn to lean into what works and lean away from what doesn't. You can't discipline a 1-year-old. They just aren't there yet. Um, but yeah, how'd you get into this path of work? I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. And they told me, they said, how do you get you're the popular one here, and also the kids respect you. They're so good with you. I didn't know how to answer that. I just always kind of was good at this. And then when I was 20, I was going to be a child psychologist. My first course, my prerequisite course, a week after it started, they asked me to leave, gave me a full refund. I should have held out. They would have paid double to get rid of me. I was asking too many questions. What they were teaching was garbage. It was this holier than thou, patronizing. Oh, it was awful. I'm sure that was 40 years ago, 42 years ago. I'm sure they've improved it now. But anyway, and then all the other students kept coming to me and asking me advice. And then I volunteered in dozens of schools, hospitals, in homes through the government, supporting parents who were struggling. And then I ended up was mentoring troubled teens, and they told me, you got to teach this, Lisa. So I didn't even know what they teach it. How do you teach mentoring troubled teens and all this stuff? Anyway, so that's how it worked. It just, obviously I was meant to do it. Been fascinated by kids. You know why I'm fascinated by kids? Because we were all there. That's how we all formed. That's why I find it so fascinating. I don't find adults as interesting because there's so much baggage in them, but it's kids. Watch how they form. When I meet a young adult, I can almost always tell how they've been parented, especially a young person, like between 20 and 25. I can almost always tell how they've been parented. Anyway. Oh, good for you. I think my kid's going to be a bully. How do I stop it? Good for you for saying that, for identifying that. If you think so, okay, that's a bit tricky. How old? Okay, he's 6. Okay, he's 6, and you think he's going to be a bully. Is it physical or anyway? Okay. So he's 6 years old. He's old enough to understand empathy, but a bully, it's a behavior that works to get what they want. It's not a good way to do it, but it works. Make sure it never works. You make sure if he bullies, you tell the teachers, if my kid, and don't use the word bully, you don't want him to overhear that. Just say, if my kid ever is mean to someone, I want to know about it. And then what you do is when he gets home, or whenever you see him being mean to someone else, I don't like the word bully, be really careful with that. But good for you for identifying that. But what I mean is don't use it around the kids. And then you say, okay, so I understand that you did something mean to someone. So what we're going to do is we're going to pack up your favorite toy and you're going to write a note saying you're sorry. And he has to deliver that toy and the note to that child that he hurt. It's hard to do, but it's good. It works. Anyway, it's kind of a bit of a system around that. You don't necessarily start there, but that's where you want to go. If it doesn't, we start with a little bit slower than that, but that's the big kahuna of how you make it work. But you got to find out every single time he's mean to someone. And then you do a lot of role playing too. But here's the thing. You don't want to make him feel bad about it. You just don't. You got to be careful with that. You do not want that to become his identity. I've worked with packs of bullies. Actually, a huge portion of the kids I worked with were bullies. So I understand why they do it. I get it. I've done that and it worked, and to his teacher also, yeah. Like if a kid, I've seen, in parks, you see all sorts of stuff. Kids pushing other kids to get a swing. If my kids weren't, mean. They didn't have a mean streak, and some kids are just born with a mean streak. Just sorry about that, but they just are. And because I see it even in babies. They'll bite other babies, and it's your job to sort of teach them to turn that into a nice streak like that. It can be fixed anyway. But whenever I see a kid push another kid off a swing, and then the mother will, because kids who do that usually are allowed to do it. It's something that they get away with. And anyway, and then I'll see the parents and they'll say you're sorry or whatever. But really, there's no lesson in that. The word sorry means nothing to a child. to a little child. Means nothing. But if I was in charge of kids and one of them pushed the other kid off the swing and started swinging, I would have that kid off the swing in a shot and the other one on the swing. And I'd say no. Like there would be instant action. So, and you're not just teaching them not to be mean, you're teaching them to be nice. That's why that other kid is on that swing. But yeah, the word sorry is so overused. I hate it. I really do. It's so overused. Even murderers in court say, does he show remorse? Who gives a crap? I don't care. That piece of garbage killed someone. Why do I care if he says he's sorry? It means nothing. His remorse means nothing to me. It's all about actions. It's not about intentions or what you say. It's all about actions, how you treat people. So, and children can learn this from a very young age. Oh, don't explain it, Ray. He's 6. Don't go on about it. Take action. Do not go on about it. You're doing the therapy session, and it's more about actions than that. He's 6, he's on the borderline, but even then you still take action. Even if he's 12, you still take action. So it's actions that speak louder than words. Because remember what I said, it's not just about teaching them not to be mean, it's about teaching them how to be nice. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. My son was, I think, 3. I told this on, I used to do a lot of live TV and the news and morning shows as the parenting expert. And I was telling this one story. It was really cute. And my son was about 3. He's 33 now, but he was about 3. He's got his own first kid coming now. So I can't wait to watch my kids parent. None of my business. I'll just sit back and watch the show. So, but anyway, it was the Christmas tree, and you take a tag off, and it has a child's name and their age, right? And there's blue for boys and pink for girls. So anyway, it was Christmas time. My son was, I think, 3. And I said, Christmas is a time for giving, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I was going on about it, as if he's just looking at me like, whatever. So I let him pick the tag, and I said, oh, here's a little boy about your age. Would you like that one? Stupid me. Little boy about his age. We bought one of those little tractors, the plastic things that you ride on and use your feet to go. So it was a really nice toy. My son already had one. And so anyway, I bought that. We took it home, and the whole time I'm like, oh, my little angel's learning how to give. He's so giving and caring, and because he's talking about, oh, give present, little boy, like, and I'm like, oh, my angel, he's so precious. So we get home, we wrap it all up, and then we put the tag on it. We take it, and I give it to my son to put under the tree. And I'm just taking pictures. I'm just so excited, my caring, loving, little giving angel. So he stops right before the tree, and he goes, I'm going to keep it. So then it became a tug of war. I got it away from him, put it under the tree. He had a tantrum, and I took him up kicking and screaming. My loving, precious little giving angel. It takes time. You got to teach him how to be nice and giving. Anyway, that was a good one. Ways to teach small toddlers age 3 to 5. I call that preschool, by the way. 3 and 4 I call preschool age. No, it doesn't really matter, but under 3 is a toddler. Okay, to cope with separation anxiety when a parent leaves. Always leave like this. You do the dump and run. It's fast. And then you always leave with, I'll see you later. Okay, you always leave with when I'm going to be back. You don't leave and say, bye, have fun. That's okay too. But I always used to say, bye, I'll be back in an hour. I'll see you then. I always left with when I'm going to be back. And then I left fast. Dump and run. Do consistent corrective actions work for every toddler? They do, so long as they're effective, consistent corrective actions. But they take a long time. It might take 2 days. It might take 2 months. Okay. The thing is, everyone wants help with their toddlers, but really you just got to survive it. The best advice I can give you with toddlers, there's 3 things that you can do with toddlers. You're not fixing their behavior. It's kind of ridiculous to think about because they're not there yet. They're just not there yet. They haven't got reasoning or common sense or anything. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Imagine if you've been in the world for 2 years, and for the first one, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like they're just forming, right? There's 3 things I recommend with toddlers. One is completely child-proof your home. So there's nothing from the waist down that they can get into. The second one is, oh, why can't I remember it? I just had a blank. Three things. Can anyone help me? I talk about this all the time. Why can't I remember this? Oh yeah, toy rotation system. So I said I hadn't had enough caffeine today. I'm just I got cobwebs in there. The second one is a toy rotation system. So they only have about 5% of their toys out at any given time, and you're rotating them maybe once a week, so they're never bored. The third one is you play with them in their world. You roll down the hill with them at the park. You play with them in their world. That's starting your leadership skills. The more you're in their world and relatable, not expecting them to find their inner adult. Use your words. God, I hate that patronizing saying. Whoever invented that, I want to talk to that person. The one who said, get down on their eye level and say, use your words. How freaking patronizing is that? It's stupid. And I don't think anyone does that anymore, I hope. Anyway, so yeah, the way that you connect with them and start your leadership skills is you play in their world like you are them. You play like a 2-year-old. Find your inner toddler. Do not expect them to find their inner adult. They haven't had one yet. They don't have one. But you can find your inner toddler. They start to look at you differently when you're in their world. You're more relatable. They're listening to you more, like they're watching you. So yeah, those 3 things. Childproof your house, toy rotation system, play in their world. Do you help people in the US? I would say most of my clients are American. Yeah, all over the world. All my coaching is done on Zoom. The leadership tip, yeah, that is a good one. I like that one. I like a lot of what I say. I've been saying it for so many years. Uh, what a stupid thing to say. I like a lot of what I say. Not with anything else, but with parenting. I've worked so hard on this. Like I've been doing this now been figuring kids out for 51 years now. And I've just kind of figured it out. I've been offered huge amount of money, huge, I mean life altering money, to from overseas people with like their idea of money is very different from mine. Like my 1 cent is their probably 100,000, that type of money. Anyway, to move in with them and sort out their kids. And why would I do that? I come home and they're right back to square one again. So I guess when you got all the money in the world, you just think that everything's easier to solve, but parenting is personal. It's personal. But anyway. How can I get coaching from you? That's all in the link above. You'll see it. Actually, my daughter fixed that up for me. It's called Linktree, and it's just a way of synopsizing my website. Everything on my website is on that Linktree. I used to have a blog because I've been doing this for so many years now. I've been teaching for 17 years. And about 2 years ago, I deleted my blogs because I looked back at them. And this was like when Facebook, it was something, I said something on one of them about, and this newfangled Facebook. And I thought, I'm getting rid of that. So I just deleted my blog. Plus, I'm not one to read stuff. So I thought, I'm just going to do what I like doing. It just struck me as funny. I thought, this newfangled Facebook, Faceybook or Did you ever do schedules with your kids when they were babies? I don't know what you mean by schedules. When my kids were babies, I'm really into leadership. And I think part of it when they're babies, it's just about connecting and making them feel safe and loved and cuddled. My kids cried, I picked them up. The only thing that I kind of took charge of was when they were about 8 or 10 months old. They do start to sleep more at night because there's nothing going on at night, right? So they do tend to sleep better at night. But I did that sleep training, where I sat outside their bedroom door while they cried. And I sat there sobbing, listening to them cry when they were like 8 or 10 months old, so they'd sleep through the night. My son it was rougher with him. He has a temper, my daughter doesn't. And so he got really upset. And I just sat outside his door crying into a pillow. That was the only thing I ever really did was scheduling, was to get him to sleep through the night. Because I'd wake up and I'd go to breastfeed him and he just wanted to play. And I thought, he's 10 months old. I don't think he needs this anymore. So anyway, like at 2 a.m. So anyway, that's the only thing. But yeah, I just went with it. Like I had a lot of experience with kids before I had my own, so things were obviously a lot easier for me than if you've never had experience with kids. But one thing I didn't have experience with was giving birth and then living with a brand new baby. So what I decided to do early on was just I scheduled my life around them. So just to make it easier. And you do. I really suggest, as long as mom and baby are happy and healthy, that's all you're aiming for. Don't worry about anything else. Waking a sleeping toddler, thought so. Yeah, sure, if you have to go. Like my first kid, I would not have woken him up for anything. You just don't. But my daughter, by the time she came along, I had a miscarriage. I miscarried multiples in between my two kids, plus I had back surgery. So I tried to have them closer, but they were 5 years apart, my son and my daughter, which worked out great anyway. But I had a newborn, and he started grade 1 when she was a newborn. I had to wake her up constantly. Well, we're taking him off to school now. Well, we're picking him up from school now. So you just, with your second one, and plus you go out the door with hardly anything. With the first one, you're like a pack mule. You just carry everything. So yeah, with her, I threw her under my arm and off we went to pick up her brother. So yeah, I woke her up all the time. Can you help with autistic ADHD kid? Well, ADHD, yes. That's most of the kids I worked with had ADHD. I call them alphabet kids. Autism's different. Autism's more of a specialty, and that I do only in coaching. I don't discuss that on here because they're all different, and they all need different advice. So yes, leaving out the door with everything. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, subsequent kids, it's very different. You might at the very least, I might just grab a nappy or a diaper, you call it here. And I raised my kids in Australia. You just grab a diaper and go out the door, and that's about it. How to respond to a 3-year-old that gets upset and says, I don't love you. I've done a lot of videos on that. And I just go, whatever. Like, if they're mad and they say it, I completely ignore it. It's just manipulation. But if they say it when you're riding on Dumbo at Disneyland, then I might look into it, Like, it's context. When are they saying it? When everything's going great? Or when they're mad because they didn't get their own way? I don't love you. Whatever. Like, I wouldn't give that any. But I would let them know that I heard it. And this is my reaction. Whatever. And then I ignore. I do not discuss it at all. My kids never once ever said that because they knew if they never said they hated me, none of that, because they just knew I wouldn't have said that to my mother either, because I knew my mother would have gone, whatever. I would have been embarrassed. Does that make sense? I hated it when my mom made the look. Like, I hated it. I looked up to my mom. She was my leader. And she was very calm, never yelled or anything, very calm. And if I did something she didn't like, she would look at me like, are you kidding me with this? And I'd be, I was so embarrassed. And I had the look too. That really kicks in at 3. You got a 2-year-old biting at daycare. Not much you can do about that. They usually outgrow it. I'll tell you what usually happens. If they're biters, they will usually bite another kid, and some other kid will belt them one. It's social. There's not much you can do. You got a 2-year-old who's not even with you, and they're at daycare biting. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. Sometimes daycares will not even accept biters. They're so difficult to deal with. It's just part of it. They outgrow it. Other kids will eventually teach them. It's not a good thing to do. They'll come up, they always come up. Oftentimes toddlers get away with a lot, and then they'll go to preschool or something, and they'll try it, and some bigger kid will just sock them one, and they stop doing it. How do I get my baby to stop gagging himself? I can't tell you what to do. I know exactly what I do with that, but I can't because I'm not a doctor, and I don't want to say it. In coaching, I will hint at it, but I'm very careful. But yeah, I know exactly what to do. Look it up. It's a very old-fashioned thing to do. It's holistic. Look it up. Google it. Do you implement a daily routine with your kids under a year-old? No. Any tips on getting through the bratty twos? Yeah, I just did I don't know if you're new on here. You might have just come on. But my best 3 tips with toddlers, one is childproof your entire house so you never have to say no. I had friends who said, "Oh my God, he was brushing his teeth with the toilet brush again." To me, that was just so stupid because they didn't want to childproof because they want their kids to learn to not touch things. I don't care about, I don't want my kid brushing their teeth with a toilet brush. Like, I couldn't believe how often parents would allow stuff like that. I completely childproofed my whole house. I never had to say no to my kids. There was nothing from the waist down. And they weren't used to being precocious. So when we went out, they didn't tend to get into things when we went out either. Like, I just made my life easy with toddlers. And then also I did a toy rotation system. So they were never bored. I was always rotating their toys. I've done lots of videos on that. And then also I played in their world like I was a toddler. I found my inner toddler when I was playing with them rather than expecting them to find their inner adult and just sitting and reading, which reading's fine too. But a lot of parents tend to sit and do and be sort of, they watch their kids do things but I was the mom at the park rolling down the hill with the toddlers. So you get in their world. It's part of leadership. They connect with you in a different way. The more you enter their world, they connect with you differently. You start to become more of a leader. So yeah, that's why by the time my kids were like 3, they were self-disciplining because I was already a leader. Have you ever been triggered by your toddlers? What helped you calm down? Yes, once. My son, I don't know what happened. I was going to a friend's house. I was trying to get him in the car and I saw red. I literally saw red. I was so angry. And yeah, it got me. And but yeah. So yeah. And the funny thing is, I've had so much. I don't know. It depends on, maybe it was my PMS. Who knows? There's no excuse for that. I didn't kill him, but I probably could have if I was a different person. Like I literally drove me insane at that moment. So yeah, you just survive it. It's not about being perfect. Life is messy. I don't think nothing in life is supposed to be perfect. I've known people who try and be perfect and try and impress me in that. And I'm like, snore. I like self-deprecation. I like, laughing at yourself. I'll tell you a funny story. I was doing a speaking engagement once, and I used to do a lot of public speaking, and there was like hundreds of people. And I was talking about how self-deprecating humor, I think it's really important to show kids that, because if you can't laugh at yourself, to me, I think, you're boring. So anyway, it's just my thing. I love humor. It's my thing. That's what draws me to people. That's my weakness. That is my Achilles heel. If you make me laugh, I'll follow you around anywhere. Like, I just love humor. I'm like, you're like the Pied Piper to me. So, but anyway, I was up talking in front of all these people, and I was talking about self-deprecating humor, and the whole audience went like this. And then someone near the front said, "Do you know what you just said?" Do you know? Can you guess? I don't want to say it on here. It didn't say self-deprecating. I said self-DEF. That was probably 15 years ago. I still just got a sweat thinking about it. Oh, how embarrassing. Anyway, it was very funny. Once I realized, then everyone started laughing, so it was great. Okay. What does self-disciplining look like as a toddler? 3 years old is when it can kick in. That's when they can start to reason. They stop themselves before they do something bad. That's what it looks like. They make good choices. It's not about having obedient little soldiers. That's not what you're after here. You're after kids who are self-disciplined. That's what you're after. So that's why I didn't have to discipline my kids, because they were self-disciplining. And I never had to say no, or it was just easy. That kicks in at 3.5, 3 3/4 is when it really kicks in. They're just self-disciplining. They make good choices because they knew if they didn't, I didn't miss a thing. They knew mom would say, "Didn't like that. There's going to be a consequence for that. Do you understand?" "Oh, sorry, mom." So that's how it goes. They knew, guarantee. And then they just learn after a while. You don't have to say, they just learn. It's hard to explain. I don't talk a lot about that because that's maintaining it. Maintenance is easy. Being a leader, maintaining leadership is easy. Getting it is hard. You're not on here to maintain it. That's why I don't talk about that a lot. You're here to get that respect. You're here to get that leadership skill going, right? So that's why I don't discuss maintaining it. But maintenance is easy. Getting respect, you got to earn that. You got to work for that. That's hard work. That's what I teach. I teach you how to get respect. You got to give it to get it. That's why you're on the behavior board. If you look in the link above, the behavior board's free. The courses are not free. And my one-on-one coaching isn't free, but the behavior board's free. It's a small part of the whole thing, but like it's a start. A lot of people are getting results just with the behavior board on their own. But if you're going to hire me for coaching, do not do the behavior board on your own first. Wait for me and I'll do it for you. Okay. How do you feel about instilling values instead of rules? I know where you're going with that. You're just word play with me. What's the difference? You want them to be nice people. You know, it's word play. I don't do that. It's like, it's not scenes are not tantrums. Scenes, fits, conniptions, tantrums. I say they're all the same. And I know, Haley, you want to do the therapy sessions with your kids. I know you do. I don't do that. Yeah. Wordplay, values, rules, right from wrong. That's all it is. That's like saying, well, when the police pull you over, it's not a rule that you don't speed. It's a value. What's the difference? It's right and wrong, right? Most things with kids are right and wrong. As you get older, it gets more gray. I think the mini therapy sessions are a joke. I try not to insult them, but every single day I'm on here, I go on about what a bunch of crap they are. They're just garbage. It's just for the parents. It's not for the kids at all. At all. Where's the lesson? There is none. None. Zero. We all learn. Can you imagine a cop pulling you over because you DUI, you just killed someone? Let's discuss it. You don't learn that way. You learn through consequences, don't you? We all do. All of us. Okay. God, Lisa, don't go on about that. I can feel it. I get like this. I get like a knot in my throat. I just want to go on and on and on about that because that's what I'm up against. That's what when people hire me, I have to erase all that garbage. That's what they've been doing because it's so trendy. All this please your parents style stuff that's out right now, it is just ridiculous. And that's what I'm up against. Drives me freaking nuts because it doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense at all to say, do you know that hurts? To a 2-year-old, do you know that hurts my feelings? But oh my God, it's so stupid. It's so patronizing. That is not their language. That is for you. That makes you feel better about yourself. That does nothing for your 2-year-old. Zero. Nothing. Okay, Lisa, settle down. It's not that complicated. Yeah. I don't know why I get so upset. It's just because I deal with it every single day in coaching. Every single day. Well, we've been trying to reason with them, but it's not working. Quit watching that. Quit doing it. Yeah, this therapy sessions. Trying to think of a good example. Oh, I'll tell my swing story. It's a good one to explain why I hate these mini therapy sessions and why they're actually cruel and mean. I think they're awful because it's very patronizing. That's for you. You're feeding your own needs, not your child's. It's very selfish. Anyway, my true story, my son was 2. I took him to the park. It was empty. There was just me and another mom and her 2-year-old boy. So there was 2 swings, 2 moms, 2 2-year-old boys, and 2 benches. So I didn't know her. I'd seen her around, but she was new in the neighborhood. So we're, hi, how are you? How are you? How old's your boy? So we're putting our little boys on the swings, and they both pointed to the other swing. So we're like, well, let's just switch them. Who cares? And we're talking. Well, they're 2-year-old. They're nuts. They both start tantruming at the exact same time. They wanted the other swing. We were just going to move them over, and they both started tantruming. So we each took our kids over to the separate benches. So this is me. My son goes to run for the swing, and I put my arm out and stopped him. And I'm not looking at him. I'm not talking to him. I'm just waiting. He knew me by now. He knew this was how I operate. So about 2 minutes later, he stopped tantruming, and I said, okay, you all done? Let's go back on the swing. And he's swinging. This is the other mom. Now, calm down. Do you want to hug? Mommy loves you. You've got to learn how to share. This kid was accelerated, screaming for about 20 minutes. He was screaming. Tantrum. The mom was hugging him, trying to talk to him. She was feeding it. Anyway, after that, this is the kicker. This is what really kicked. I thought soon he just stopped tantruming. Now he's doing the hiccup cries, like that. That's when you say, "Okay, let's go back on the swing." You know what she did? She started talking to him about the whole tantrum. "Now, you know, if you just asked nicely, we would have." 10 minutes. She's giving him a therapy session. That poor child, 30 minutes of sheer hell at the park. My kid was 2 minutes of hell, then he's back on the swing for 28 minutes. Which kid learned? He knew that I ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Susie calmed down, he's back on the swing. Her kid, Susie calmed down. Well, she's feeding it, so he never did calm down. It took ages. Then when he calms down, then he gets a therapy session. He gets raked over the emotional coals, and he doesn't get back on the swing. How awful is that? I felt so sorry for that kid, but I don't tell other parents how to parent. Like, none of my business. If she'd asked me, but she was trying to show off. I could tell she thought this is what you do. You try and comfort them, and oh my God, it's just all that garbage. Anyway, that's why you don't have the many therapy sessions. Which kid would you rather be? Which mother would you rather have? Think about it. My kid was having a great time. He knew mom was gonna, I'm not gonna feed that crap. He knew that. He's just getting ignored when he's crazy. Susie calms down. "Oh, you all done? Let's go." I would not discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. It just goes away. They just stop. What time is it? Now I got to get going, actually. My voice isn't great today. I hope I'm not coming down with something. Anyway, okay, I have to get going. If you go on the link above there, you'll see you can hire me for coaching. It's done no matter where you live. It's all done on Zoom. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. I do have my big course out now. It's 5 weeks to get respect. Do not rush through that, but you can elongate the first week or two, especially. You can elongate it, but do not shorten it. Some people jump right because they want that fourth week. They want that no behavior board in the moment discipline. You got to learn how to get there. Like you got to go through the whole process step by step. Anyway, because I know some parents are doing that. So anyway, okay, I got to go. Thanks so much. I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye now.